What's up, crystal family? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm gonna share with you guys how to clean dirty, freshly mined crystals using oxalic acid. You will see how to go from a dirty crystal like this to a super clean, sparkly specimen you see in the stores like that. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is pick out a few pieces that I can use as a sample and show you guys how to clean these crystals. And let's go ahead and we'll pick out a few of these points. Even though they are basically super clean already, I'm still just going to give you guys a quick example of what the oxalic acid will do. Here's my batch from the Jim Coleman crystal mine, and as you can see, the stains at that mine are a lot more heavy than, let's say, for example, at the Wagner Crystal Forest mine. So we're gonna clean this beauty, and as you can see, it does have a lot of iron stains on it, and you'll be surprised how nice and clean this will actually come out. Now, of course, when you have a batch like these, you may actually want to check out some of the crystals that you don't want to clean, because they are just very beautiful with that yellow coating on it. Like, for example, this one. I actually would not clean that, because that yellow coating is just very beautiful. It probably has some iridescence to it, and it would be kind of a shame to just make this look like any other regular clear crystal. Here's another example of a crystal that I actually would not clean, because the coloring is so nice and evenly distributed throughout this point. I think it looks a lot nicer and more attractive. I especially wouldn't clean it once you start seeing those iridescent rainbows on the surface, because all of that will actually come off in the oxalic acid. So be aware of that. Keep those nice colored crystals separate and don't clean them. These are actually valuable as is, and they are called natural earth aura crystals. Then we look at one of those crystals right here. It does have some nice coloring to it, but it's not very even, and it's not translucent either. I don't really see any major rainbows. So this would be a great candidate to clean. And how's about we clean this nice twin crystal as well. Alright, so there we have some pieces from the Coleman mine that we are going to clean. And here are some pieces from the Wagner mine that we're going to clean. And another flat I'd like to clean is this flat of beautiful small points. As you can see, a lot of these have the iron oxide coating on them. And yeah, let's just check out what happens if I clean these, how they look now and how they look after the process. Now, this is another story when you're looking at a bunch of these sandstone clusters. First of all, there's some really thick clay with a lot of these clusters, and you would actually need a pressure washer to get that out, which I don't have at the time. So it wouldn't really make sense to clean any of this, because this clay is just going to prevent any sort of real cleaning activity. And another issue with sandstone pieces, since the sandstone is kind of porous, if you put it into the oxalic acid solution and heat it up, it will actually soak up the acid into the sandstone some of the time. And what happens is it turns that sandstone like a greenish or yellow color, which to me is not very attractive. So if you have a lot of sandstone pieces, you may actually want to consider not cleaning them at all and just leaving them natural. I mean, there's really no need on a lot of those pieces to even clean them, I think. They are beautiful just the way they come out of the earth. So if you do need to clean your sandstone pieces like this one, you actually want to go ahead and soak these pieces in some hot water. And I'd say probably soak them for at least 8 hours or so. And what happens is the sandstone will actually soak up all of that water, and then you can put it into the cleaning solution afterwards, and the sandstone will already be all saturated, so it will not pick up any of the cleaning solution or any of the acid and turn your beautiful sandstone green or yellow. And here are two more clusters from the Jim Coleman mine. The Jim Coleman mine really has a lot of iron deposits on their crystals, even though a lot of times they are really beautiful. Like this one is actually quite nice. I am still going to clean this and show you guys how this will look after oxalic acid treatment. And then I'll also have this small one. Look at the variations in iron oxide deposits. This one has a really dark color, and we will also clean it. So basically there's two products that people mostly use to clean their crystals with. One is called Iron Out, and it's actually like a drain and toilet cleaner that you can buy at any Walmart or home department store. And the other product which I would actually recommend and which I use is called Oxalic Acid. Now oxalic acid can be found at a lot of these rock shops here in Arkansas, so when you do your crystal mining, go ahead and pick yourself up a pound or two of the oxalic acid and you'll have that on hand for when you get home and you're ready to clean your crystals. So even though it is a natural organic acid, you definitely need to be careful, and especially if you use a concentrate like we are about to, you definitely want to use precautions. You want to use masks and gloves and possibly goggles to protect yourself. I would still go ahead and pull up the material safety data sheet for oxalic acid and just go ahead and read over this and make yourself familiar with all the health implications and the dangers of using oxalic acid. I'm going to leave a link to the MSDS in the description of the video, so go ahead and pull that up if you want to know more about it. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you don't have any clay or dirt left on the crystals before you put them into the cleaning solution. So at the time of the video I didn't have this handy tool yet, but this is a Textile Gun and it's got high pressure. If you don't have a pressure washer, then this is a cheap alternative to get the job done. Now that we have rinsed off the last little bit of clay off of our crystals, I'm going to show you guys two methods on how you can clean your crystals at home. The first method, proven and true, involves this crock pot right here, and I usually like to pick up my crock pots at thrift stores. You can usually get old crock pots for about $5 each, and then you'll have a perfect crystal cleaning vessel. We probably don't have to keep it heated for more than 6 or 8 hours, and then usually I let it cool down overnight. And the second method involves this black bucket right here. What we're gonna do with that is fill it up with a warm solution of oxalic acid and then just set it in the sun and let the sun naturally heat that black bucket, keep that solution warm for a little bit longer, and thus it's going to speed up the crystal cleaning process. What I like to do with that method is mostly just use single points and points that don't really have much iron oxide deposits on them, and in the crock pot I usually put the clusters and pieces that have a lot of deposits on them, because the heat really makes it a lot faster and easier to take off the iron oxides. Alright, and what I got here is a strainer from the dollar store, which works really well to put into the solution, and that way you don't have to deal much with the solution and you can just pull it out easily and rinse your crystals in this beautiful strainer. Okay, so it's time for our oxalic acid. There's all kinds of different recommendations when it comes to how much to use. The general recommendation is 1 pound of acid to 2 gallons up to 5 gallons of water. So what I'm gonna do, we won't really need that much. I'm kind of just eyeballing it usually. We don't have very much water in there. That's probably less than a gallon of water. So we'll do about a half a cup. And you always want to put the acid in after the water. And then go ahead and stir it in. And as the solution heats up, it'll continue to dissolve the oxalic acid, so you don't have to have it perfect, but you kind of just want to give it a good stir. So as you can see, I stuffed this strainer full of crystals, and you want to make sure to face all the points away from each other or be very gentle with them, because you don't want to damage your crystals in the last step of the process. So I'm thinking that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and put this into the acid. And as you can see, it will need a little more water. So make sure the crystals are completely covered, completely submerged in that water. And now we just have to wait for the crock pot to heat up. Now to our second method. which is using this bucket. It's really just a plain black plant pot, and I got this amazing strainer. I'm not sure where I got this, it's probably a thrift store find, but you could literally use any sort of container. Anyways, this one is really perfect because you see how small that mesh is, and I can actually put these tiny points right in here and basically fit this whole tray in here plus some, and it'll clean them all perfectly. Okay, so I got some cold water in there, and to speed up the process I actually got some hot water. Okay, you don't want to get it super hot because it may actually damage the crystals and crack them when you put them in. So this seems to be a good temperature, and I'd say let's add the acid. Stir that in as well. Okay, so now that we got the acid stirred in, I'm gonna take that bucket of crystals and slowly submerge it in the acid. That's it! So the vapors are probably the most harmful part about cleaning your crystals with oxalic acid. So definitely do it in a well ventilated area. So it has only been about a couple hours. And I guess my solution is super strong because these crystals are already cleaning up nicely. Alright, it's the next morning and I'm gonna unload those crystals and check out how nice they came out. As you can already tell, they are super clear. I got my gloves on. I like to kind of move it around a little bit to get off any acid that may be stuck on any of the pieces. And now I'll move it into another plastic container and I can give it a first rinse in the container. And that first rinse really helps to take off any excess acid. And I can neutralize this acid. And now I'm going to rinse these crystals really well. Alright, so here it is all cleaned up. Quite a difference. Here's that yellow piece all cleaned up, and as you can tell there's some clay in there that's trapped, which a pressure washer may take care of that, and maybe another run in the oxalic acid. Now check out how nice that one came out. Totally worth cleaning this baby. Here are some of the smaller clusters. And of course some beautiful points that come out just beautiful from the cleaning process. Here's that cluster all cleaned up. What do you think? Do you think it looks better clean, or do you like it better natural? I would almost say I prefer natural. Okay, so these crystals on sandstone have been soaking in this hot water for several hours. And now it is time to get them into the hot oxalic acid. You want to go from hot to hot because you don't want to shock the crystals, obviously. Otherwise they could potentially break. Okay, and then I also have these beautiful 3 clusters right here. These have a lot more iron oxides on them, so it'll be a great sample of how they come out when they clean. And you can really see what a great job the oxalic acid does on these type of clusters, and how nice they will look once we clean them. So let's put those in the batch as well. I could fit a lot more into this batch, but just for demonstration purposes I'm gonna leave it simple today. Okay, so I think our sandstone based clusters are just about done. The solution is still a little warm, so you want to make sure if you unload a warm crystal solution, don't put cold water directly onto the crystals because it may actually damage them. So what I got here is some nice warm water, and I'm going to be able to set this crate into the warm water and then slowly rinse it and adjust it to a cooler temperature. At the time of this video I didn't have a pressure washer. There's still a little bit of clay stuck in between the points, but that'll come out really easy with a textile gun or pressure washer, and I highly recommend that. So you can see the water is getting milky right away, and that is the excess acid that is actually coming off of these clusters. And this is also a good way. I like to either rinse my crystals in here or put the crystals in here like that, and I'm able to catch any acid and I can neutralize it before it actually goes back on the ground. So this is a really good way. Don't just take your crystals straight out of this crock pot and rinse them in something, and then you can neutralize it. Or sometimes I redump it into the crock pot if I need more water, or I could even clean more crystals in here. So you can keep on using the oxalic acid solution for a long time. Okay, so here's that sandstone based cluster all cleaned up. Well, there's actually still some clay trapped in there. That is because I didn't have a pressure washer to rinse it perfectly. But as you can see, it came out really nice. And here's the other two sandstone pieces. They came out really nice as well. Beautiful crystal clusters. Super nice. Now check out the difference on this crystal. Same with this guy. Whatever orange color you still see will not come out. That is actually trapped under the crystals. Look at that amazing piece. That is a beautiful cluster right there, and it came out really nice. A couple days later, and I think the crystals are finished soaking. So we're gonna get them out. So we're giving it a first rinse to get off any excess oxalic acid. So we're giving it a good rinse. You want to make sure you get all sides and wash off any acid. And here's that flat of crystals after cleaning. As you can see, they came out really nice and clean, so it worked super well. Alright, so let's clean another batch of crystals in our solar crystal cleaner. I got a nice batch of points from the Twin Creek crystal mine that I want to clean. As you can see, a lot of them still have some iron oxides on them. So let's do it. As you could see, I kind of try to put them in there gently and line up the bigger crystals around the edges. And I think this is ready to be cleaned. Okay, so I got this bucket sitting in a really sunny spot on the hot concrete, and let's come back at the end of the day. Okay, so this bucket has been sitting in the sun all day. It is super warm. It's probably about 80 or 90 degrees in that water. And let's check out what the crystals are doing. Nice. They look like they all clean already. And they're basically ready to come out. So I am gonna go ahead and rinse these crystals really well. I want to make sure I get all sides of the crystals, move them around so that there's no acid left on the crystals. And also I like to, with the small ones, lift the flat up and rinse it from underneath it and get any kind of acid that may be stuck underneath the flat. So just make sure you rinse your crystals really well. Go over the top rinsing so you don't have any acid stuck on them. Here's that whole flat of crystals all cleaned up. As you can see, they came out super nice, and we were able to do that with just the power of the sun. It doesn't take long for that bucket to heat up, and it cleans the crystals really well and quite fast. It only took about 7 hours to get these crystals cleaned, and there you have it. Beautiful. So you can definitely reuse this oxalic acid solution multiple times until it turns a dark green color. That's when you want to go ahead and neutralize it. And I'm going to show you how to neutralize it right now. Okay, so once you have finished cleaning crystals and you are ready to neutralize the acid to make it safe for disposal, there's 3 different options that you have to neutralize your acid with. I personally love to use wood ashes because they are freely available and they do a good job at neutralizing the acid. You can also use baking soda or agricultural lime that you can buy at your local feed store. They are both alkaline and they'll do a great job at neutralizing the acid. Okay, so I got my used acid here and I have my wood ashes right here. And let's see what happens when we combine the acidic substance with the alkaline wood ashes. Okay, so you don't want to breathe that. As you can see, there's a big chemical reaction going on. It's basically the reaction of neutralizing the acid. So I'm basically going to continue to put more wood ashes in there until there's no more reaction. Okay, I've dumped all the wood ashes in there. As you can see, there's no more visible reaction going on, which means that the acid has been neutralized. I can put it into some sort of container and bring it to the dump. Alright, so behind me you are seeing a commercial crystal cleaning vat. This is what most crystal miners in Arkansas will use, and it's super convenient because you can actually clean a bunch of crystals at once. Alright, so that was a ton of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a big thumbs up, and a huge thank you to all of you guys that have subscribed to the channel. It really means the world to me. Thank you guys so much. I hope to be putting out a lot more videos in the future, and just let me know anything that you're interested in and I'll try to answer your questions or make a video on it. So thank you guys so much, and I'll see all of you in the next video. Aloha! Making videos. It's the grind. I actually shot this video 3 years ago and I didn't have a spot gun back in the day, and I also didn't have a pressure washer, so you'll notice that there's still going to be a little bit of dirt in some of the clusters, and that is the biggest issue when you clean crystals. You want to make sure you use one of these things. I'm going to leave the link for this in the description, and you want to get out all the dirt, and that way you get perfect results. So I think this video is still going to be relevant to a lot of you. There's still a lot of good information in there, but just keep in mind to make sure you want to get all the dirt out of your clusters before you put them in the acid. And I will also shoot a brand new updated crystal cleaning video soon, and you can expect that video in the next few months here on the channel.